Hey everybody, welcome to California Bountiful. I'm your host, Tracy Sellers. And today we're in Hollywood, hanging out at my new favorite restaurant. It's the Greenleaf Chop Shop, headed by the Commander-in-Chief, my good friend, Jonathan Rollo. And he has a fantastic recipe that's coming up later on in the show. But first, let's get to our top story. Over 2 days, the rural countryside of Butte County comes alive as people get to experience the bounty of food and wine produced in the region. This annual agritourism adventure showcases 30 wineries and specialty farms throughout Butte County, and a ticket opens the doors for visitors to savor samples from a variety of farms and ranches. The event attracts more than 2,000 people each year, so I decided to make the trek to Butte County myself to get my foodie passport stamped, and my first stop was Lodestar Farms. Since 1993, Jamie and Nicole Johansson of Lodestar Farms have been committed to creating an olive oil that represents the traditional flavor of the California Mission olive and the 100-year history of olive production in Oroville. But when they first started farming, they wondered how are they even going to get people to their tasting room to try their product. Well, they partnered with a local winery, and gradually the farm tour grew from there to what the Passport Weekend is now. For them, the real joy is in sharing their family's passion with others.
Well, I think it's great for our kids and our family, and the pride that the family can take in this is what we grow, this is our farm.
The Johanssons tell me that the region's olive oil has a very distinct flavor and style, and those qualities are inherent in every bottle of Lodestar olive oil. You know, flavored olive oils are huge these days. You have a lemon one, right?
They're actually great. It's been fun to do the flavored oils because a lot of people are not familiar with olive oil.
Yeah.
And kind of sometimes the pepperiness of an extra virgin olive oil.
So next on our trip was Long Creek Winery. Long Creek is nestled on a beautiful 26-acre property in the Sierra Nevada foothills. The winery also features a guided tour of the ranch and fruit orchards too. They've diversified over the years in the hopes that they have something for everybody to enjoy.
People like to connect where their food comes from. So I think it's a huge interest because they like the idea of knowing the person who farmed the grapes or knowing the person who raised the cattle, and seeing the land that it was on and meeting the person, and then actually able to sample the wine and then go home and have a nice meal and eat the beef.
Next stop on our travels, Morse Farms. Run by John and Glenda Morse, the farm features a variety of citrus trees, including oranges, lemons, limes, and grapefruits. But their big hit is the Little Mandarin, which, as I learned, has quite the history to it.
We like to welcome people to the farm and actually give them a farm tour. Let them go through the orchard and see how the fruit is developing and ripening.
And these guys aren't ripe, so you tell them
no,
that,
they're not.
right?
Yeah, we do tell people that the fruit is not ripe yet. Please don't pick the fruit. But we put posters up with information about the Mandarins, how they got their name, where they came from. I think that people are kind of interested that they actually started in China about 3,000 years ago.
Oh, that's it.
And they were only fed to the officials that wore the long Mandarin gowns. And so that's where Mandarins got their name.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
So we like to tell people that you don't have to be an emperor now to eat the fruit.
Of course, mandarins are delicious right off the tree, but for a year-round revenue source, the family used their own recipes to come up with several products made with the mandarins, including marmalade, syrup, barbecue sauce, and olive oil, all of which we got to try a little sample of. Their motto around here is their mandarins are grown by their family to be shared with other families, and the Passport Weekend is the perfect opportunity for folks to get a taste of what farm life is all about.
They're meeting the people that put the food in the bottles or they put the food in the bags, and I think that's very important.
Last on our trip through this agricultural adventure, we've got 2 tickets to paradise. The town, that is. In the early 1900s, the tiny town of Paradise on the eastern side of the county was known as California's apple epicenter, and luckily you can still visit an apple orchard that has been producing apples in the area nearly that long. Since 1921, Noble Orchards has been delighting customers with their selection of farm fresh produce, and today they are the last remaining apple orchard in town.
I think more than having them come back, it's a tremendous opportunity to have new people come and find us. I personally have talked to at least a dozen people today who said, well, I live in Paradise, but I've just never been up here. Or I live in Chico and I've heard about you, but I've never been here. So it's a good opportunity to have people come locate us, see what we have, and probably become return customers.
History buffs will appreciate their 1932 packing shed and vintage fruit labels. And new customers, like myself, will appreciate their unique selection of farm treats and one-of-a-kind knowledge that comes from years spent on the farm growing some of the best produce you'll find.
These are the Pink Lady apples, the really sweet, tart, crisp, crunchy apple. And we're just about ready for harvest with them. We start noticing that they get a bumpiness to them, which indicates that the complex carbohydrates have converted to simple sugars, and then they're ready to go.
So I've managed to do just what I set out to, eat and drink my way through most of the trail. And along the way, I also met some pretty incredible people who taught me that while Butte County history is rooted in tales of folks searching for gold, it's now apparent that the true wealth of Butte County is in its farmers and farmland. For California Bountiful, I'm Tracy Sellers.
Don't touch that dial because there's more California Bountiful coming up after the break.
Next.
In the nation, we know how it feels when you aren't treated like a priority.
Expected wait time, 55 minutes. Your call is...
Waiter! We do things differently. We put members first.
We'll take care of it.
Join the nation.
Thank you.
Nationwide is on your side.
To learn more about the nation where Farm Bureau members can protect what's most important, call 877 on your side or visit www.nationwide.com today.
We're at the Gold Country Fairgrounds in Auburn, California, celebrating 20 years of mountain mandarins.
And it is such a wonderful time, and it highlights all things Mandarin. There's Mandarin marmalade here. Even the food vendors try and have something to do with Mandarin.
So farm to fork means maybe mixed greens and potatoes right now, and in a month it's going to mean asparagus, and a month after that it'll mean strawberries, and then apricots, and then peaches and nectarines, and then apples and pears will come, and then it'll be time for winter squash.
Welcome back to California Bountiful. We're at Greenleaf today enjoying some of the fantastic food they have here and the fantastic drinks, including this. You can see I've enjoyed this a lot. Freshly squeezed lemonade. And speaking of lemons, we traveled to a lemon farm not far from here to find out how they're grown.
So we all know that California is king when it comes to growing citrus. And when it comes to growing lemons, no one is bigger than this Ventura County farm. And with over 7,000 acres of lush lemon trees, Limonera isn't just the biggest lemon grower in California, but in all of North America. Based in Santa Paula, the farm is a testament to what hard work and determination can do. Founding fathers Nathan Blanchard and Wallace Hardison first bought the land way back in 1893 and named the ranch Limonera, which means lemon lands in Portuguese.
And at the time they wanted to bring about the first full-scale commercial operation citrus ranch in the U.S. And from there we added throughout the years, over the last 115, 16 years, 3 other families have come into the fold, and that's where we've grown today to be our 7,000 acres that we are in California.
Once called the home of the lemon, it actually took 15 years before those first farmers even turned a profit at the Limonera farm. But they persevered, and as they say, they've come a long way, baby. Things have obviously changed a lot over the years, but one thing that hasn't changed is the desire to explore innovative programs. The farm invests a lot of time, research, and investment into improving lemon production through innovation. In 2008, they completed work on a solar panel project that stretches across nearly 5 acres and can help to power their lemon storage facility and packing house. And despite being the oldest continuously run citrus packing operation in North America, it actually is pretty state-of-the-art these days.
Basically what we're looking at here is the camera system that basically takes a picture of each piece of fruit. And then what happens is that it can tell basically its color, its size, and then how much blemish might be on that lemon itself.
And whatever isn't deemed of the highest and best quality is then removed and sold to be used as lemon-scented cleaners, air fresheners, or candles. So what's the key to growing a great lemon for all of these years? As it turns out, location, location, location.
Lemons are very temperamental with the weather, just like we are, quite frankly, and they enjoy the beautiful weather that we do. They're able to flower year-round, and that's why we can get such great production off these smaller trees, or relatively smaller trees. And so we're in the perfect scenario between not too hot, not too cold. We're a bit in the Goldilocks of the citrus growing area.
California is the #1 state for producing lemons, and Limonera farmers account for nearly 13% of the state's total lemon production.
So what do you do with all those lemons? Well, you make lemonade, of course, but with a twist.
The dictionary describes lemons simply as a yellowish acid fruit of a subtropical citrus tree. But for Ryan Singh of Grange Bar and Restaurant in downtown Sacramento, lemons are oh so much more.
It's one of those staples, it's one of those foundations of a decent bar. You use a lot of lemons. Even you'll see, we'll use, like if you're making limoncello or some kind of infusion in the back, you'll use just the rind, or you're making a syrup with it, but then you have the lemon left over, so you can juice it, so you get 2 uses out of it.
They are the main ingredient for several of his specialty drinks on the menu, including a pink lemon margarita. But he's not alone in adding a little zest to his menu. Over at Rick's Dessert Diner in Sacramento, you know right away this place is special. From the funky exterior to the gigantic cakes that greet you when you walk in, this place is a hit.
Well, we come about once a week, and it's just the freshest desserts. Everything is so good here. We moved to Sacramento about 2 years ago, and we saw the bright pink building, and we were like, okay, we have to check that out. And since then, I've been completely hooked. Like, have to come and get my fix.
We do desserts the original way, out of scratch, homemade style, and we have the best ingredients in our cakes. We don't compromise the price for the quality of the desserts, and we have been #1 for 22 years in a row. And the reason for that is the hard work and using the best ingredients and freshness. It's the most important to me.
They do make desserts look like a piece of cake to prepare here, and with almost 300 delicious items on the menu, it's hard to choose a favorite. While chocolate is tops, lemon-based pastries are a close second. And when it comes to making those citrus-based delights, they do have their own special standards here.
If it's not freshly squeezed, it's not lemon. They are important because if I don't get fresh lemon, I will not have a good tasting cake.
Ahmad says they use more than 20 pounds of fresh California lemons each week, and everything from lemon bars to the rich and gooey lemon cake with lemon buttercream frosting. So the next time you indulge in lemon meringue pie or sip some lemonade, pay tribute to California lemons. After all, being a little bitter really never tasted so sweet, right?
Hi, my name is Jonathan Rollo, and I'm the owner and chef of Greenleaf Gourmet Chop Shop here in Costa Mesa, California. And one of the very coolest parts of my job is that I get to do a lot of cocktail sampling. This is fun. So today, what I want to show you is one of my favorite cocktails here. It's super light and refreshing, and it really goes with the whole Greenleaf mentality of simple product, really fresh, really local. In fact, we grow our own basil here at the store, and then today's recipe is going to focus on that. We're going to add a little bit of cucumber, muddle it up, lemonade, and our soju, since it's a wine and beer program. So I've got a little bit of ice in here. Dump in my basil. Going to add 4 or 5 big pieces of cucumber, and I'm just going to muddle this up real quick. And you can hear that crunching, so those flavors are going to start to mix and melt. And it's going to be really refreshing. You can use this all year round, but it's awesome when you make it at home for your friends during the summer. I'm going to then add 2 ounces of soju, which is a Korean wine-based cocktail, and then about 2 ounces of lemonade. Now we make our own lemonade here at the restaurant, and it has no refined sugar in it, just fresh squeezed lemon and a little bit of agave, kind of round it out and take away some of the bite. I'm going to pour this into our tumbler right here, and then going to add the rest of the ice. And just top with a little bit of the lemonade so that first sip is nice and bright. It's like a lemonade float. And there you have our cucumber basil martini.
So that's why this is so good, because of those lemon farmers. Got it. Stay with us. There's more California Bountiful coming up.
Next.
In the nation, we know how it feels when you aren't treated like a priority.
Expected wait time, 55 minutes. Your call is...
Waiter!
We do things differently. We put members first.
We'll take care of it.
Join the nation.
Thank you. Nationwide is on your side.
To learn more about the nation where Farm Bureau members can protect what's most important, call 877 on your side or visit www.nationwide.com today.
Along the Central Coast, they're blessed with picture-perfect postcard weather, breathtaking scenery, and a variety of agriculture, all of which have contributed to the success of Gold Coast Farms.
Well, the family farming operation Gold Coast was started by my father, Ron Burke, and his partner, Bob Espinola. And they started farming in 1978. And they started farming with lettuce and broccoli and then evolved into spinach and cilantro, cauliflower, strawberries. We do a few specialty items like the grapes and some sweet corn and pumpkins, things like that in the summer. But the bulk of what we do is broccoli, cilantro, spinach, cauliflower.
Today, Gary and his dad, Ron, run the farm that remains as diversified as ever. They grow a variety of crops, including a couple hundred acres of spinach in Santa Maria that goes to restaurants and grocery stores across the country. They also grow more than 1,000 acres of broccoli that they custom harvest and ship to several large restaurant chains and cater to whatever they might want. Short stalks, tall stalks, no stalks, you name it, and they'll grow it. And another big crop the family grows these days is also one of the tiniest, in size that is, cilantro. They're growing about 500 acres of it, and they supply some of the biggest Mexican chain restaurants in the country. But no matter what crop they're harvesting, they know one chef in town that will whip up a new and exciting recipe that the family will enjoy. And he should know, since he's part of the family. Meet Chef Rick.
Chef Rick is my brother-in-law. Chef is married to my sister, so yes, we definitely work with Chef Rick.
Look at that, broccoli, cauliflower, and spinach pizza. This is the grilled salmon, peach, shrimp, spinach, ginger, and sesame salad.
Rick has a very creative mind for food. You know, he is from the South, but he's cooked all over the country, and so his food is very eclectic. It's very spice driven, and it's very interesting food, and so he always has a unique take on how to prepare things.
Chef Rick is owner and executive chef of his aptly named restaurant, Chef Rick's. And his up-tempo cooking is a blend of his culinary roots, having grown up in southern Louisiana, mixed in with the Southern California influence that now comes primarily from the seasonal produce that his family provides him pretty much every day now.
Hey, who ordered the broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, and cilantro pizza?
Yeah.
You guys?
Bring it on.
To get vegetables, to get everything as fresh as possible, it has always been a point of mine. So to marry into it and have them bring it every time they come in is beautiful. So broccoli wine.
Oh, you're gonna drink it.
That's really good.
They may not be producing broccoli wine, but the Burke family is in fact producing wine. In the early 90s, they planted wine grapes in the region, and then in 1994, they began producing wine under their own label, Costa de Oro, which is Spanish for Gold Coast, by the way. They recently opened their own tasting room where they produce about 6,500 cases a year now. And while as winemakers they get most of the accolades, they give almost all of the credit to their surroundings. For them, producing wine is all about location, location, location.
This valley runs wide open to the ocean, and we get this huge marine influence of fog and cool air that comes into the valley. And so even though we're so far south compared to Napa and the inland part of Sonoma and Mendocino County, we're actually cooler than any of those growing areas. And that's why Chardonnay and Pinot Noir can do so well here. We always sort our fruit. The fruit comes up on the table and then we can hand sort it. And the main thing that we're working with this year is just sorting out any berries that have seen extreme heat and have any heat damage, which would be, excessive shrivel or raisinine. It's picking out at about 2 tons per acre right now.
It's holding now.
It's holding at 2 tons per acre, yeah. So we're going to be good as far as the yield goes. And we'll probably finish tomorrow with the Pinot Noir.
So from making wine to winning over customers to feeding families across the country with their plethora of produce, this farming family is proving you can do it all and enjoy the fruits of your labor along the way too.
Oh, you caught me. I'm just going to dive into my lunch here. Stay with us. There's more California Bountiful coming up.
Next.
In the nation, we know how it feels when you aren't treated like a priority.
Expected wait time, 55 minutes. Your call is...
Waiter!
We do things differently. We put members first.
We'll take care of it.
Join the nation.
Thank you.
Nationwide is on your side.
To learn more about the nation where Farm Bureau members can protect what's most important, call 877 on your side or visit www.nationwide.com today.
We're at the Gold Country Fairgrounds in Auburn, California, celebrating 20 years of mountain mandarins.
And it is such a wonderful time, and it highlights all things Mandarin. There's Mandarin marmalade here. Even the food vendors try and have something to do with Mandarin.
So farm to fork means maybe mixed greens and potatoes right now, and in a month it's going to mean asparagus, and a month after that it'll mean strawberries, and then apricots, and then peaches and nectarines, and then apples and pears will come, and then it'll be time for winter squash.
Hi, I'm Adam from 1760, and we're going to cook shishito peppers today. The first thing you want to do is get a very hot pan. At 1760, we use black steel. You can use cast iron, anything that's able to heat up very hot. We also use grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is a nice oil that will heat up very hot without smoking. Once it's like this, where it's just about to smoke, take shishito peppers and throw them in. Very simple. You can toss them in the oil. Once they're tossed, don't touch them. While we're cooking the peppers, we can talk about what's going to go on top. So we use Castelvetrano olives. If you can't find any Castelvetrano olives, any green olive that's very briny will work. We get them pitted just so we don't have to deal with taking out the pits. Obviously at home, I think you should do the same. All you want to do is chop them very rough. When you chop them, make sure you save the brine, because the brine is going to be used to deglaze the pan later. Just a very rough chop. You can use your knife. If you have a food processor, you can use your food processor. It's very simple. You want something that will stick to the peppers. So we're going to top the peppers with these hazelnuts. We get these hazelnuts from California. All you want to do is roast them very briefly and then chop them to about the same size as the olives. Again, you can use your knife, or if you want, a food processor. A little bit of the powder is great too. It will help stick to the peppers. So once the peppers get to this stage where they're nice and blistered, take up your chopped Castelvetrano olives. For this amount, about 1.5 spoons. Then take the brine that you saved and kind of deglaze the pan. At this point, you can cut off the heat. And the last thing you want to finish with is a little bit of soy sauce. We didn't add any salt to this, so the soy sauce will add that flavor that you need. So just take your blistered shishito peppers. You can pile them high on a nice little plate. Make sure you get all these chopped up olives and a little bit of the sauce. It will help the hazelnut stick. Then take your chopped up hazelnuts and sprinkle them all about. Make sure you get all the peppers. And the last thing you want to do, we finish with smoked mullein at 1760. Any nice crunchy salt will work. We use the smoked because it just reinforces the blistered flavor. That's it, you have it.
Well, that's going to do it for the show today. If you have questions about any of the stories you've seen or the recipes, in fact, we have a lot of great recipes from Greenleaf on our website. You can find it at CaliforniaBountiful.com. And we'll see you again next week on California Bountiful. Have a great week, everybody. Now I can get eating, right?